Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio. Brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Atlanta Business Radio, and this is going to be a good one. But before we get started, it's important to recognize our sponsor, OnPay. Without them, we could not be sharing these stories. Today on Atlanta Business Radio, we have Andy Levine, and he is with Topeka. Welcome, Andy.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great. Before we get too far into things, tell us about Topeka. How are you serving folks?
We are connecting fans and artists for live, Zoom, face-to-face chats, and they're doing serenades and having conversations and guitar lessons and mini concerts and just any way you can imagine you could connect, in the virtual space.
So it's musicians primarily at this point?
Yeah, primarily musicians.
And then is it an individual musician or could it be an entire group?
It's usually right now. It's usually just a group or maybe a couple members of the group.
And how did this come about? What was the genesis of the idea?
I've been in the music business for 25 years and festivals and managing bands, and I wanted to find a way for a fan to have a really authentic conversation with the artist, where the artist was fully present. And I found that that was really difficult to do anywhere near the stage because the artist is either thinking about the show or exhausted from the show. And I've watched fans try to have like a meaningful moment with artists for the last 20 years. And I hate that they don't get to have that because that's just not a good environment. So I was thinking, wow, if we could do this when the artist is at home, and they could be fully present and not worried about the show or anything else that comes along with being on the road, that we might be able to solve two issues. The fan can have a great, meaningful conversation. The artist can kind of get to know their fans with a safe boundary. When we moderate, we have a moderator that helps facilitate that, so the artist can just focus on being present. We get it started and we wrap it up when it's time. And then, lastly, it's a way for artists to make money and sleep in their own bed, which has gone away over the last 15 years. As royalties have gone down, artists have had to go on the road to make all their money, and it's creating a lot of tension for them as they try to also, build families. So I thought maybe we could this would help. So we started 2 years ago. Now,
it seems like, I don't know, in every movie about musicians, there's always the point where there's a disgruntled rock star that is frustrated feels like he's out of touch with his fan base, and then kind of struggles and wants to meet the fan as an individual. Is that where the idea came about? It seems like that's kind of a recurring theme, at least in some of the movies.
Yeah, no, it isn't. In fact, Topeka is really came from the movie Almost Famous, which came out 20 years ago. And it's exactly what you're saying. The lead guitar player, they're in Topeka playing a show, and he decides, they've become too out of touch. And so he's walking down the street with the guy who was on the road interviewing them, writing the story. And he says, the fans know everything about us, but we don't know anything about them, and then he proceeds to go to this, he goes to a regular house party, and he's just hanging out like a normal guy. And he's kind of overwhelmed by the fact that this is the most natural he's felt in a long time. And here he is just, hanging out with, regular Topeka people. So that's that's what the brand is all about. Exactly what you said.
It sounds like, at least what I've read is like Bill Murray tries to kind of personify that kind of attitude where he's always showing up and just kind of immersing himself in a real world scenario. Is there a real hunger amongst artists to really kind of get to know their fans like that intimately?
I think that, I don't think it's for every artist, but I think that the artists that we've had do it, which were probably close to 100 different ones are doing it right now. They're loving it. And I think they're used to what happens when you're at a show and someone comes up and stands maybe closer than you would like. And you don't know how you're going to get out of this conversation. There's 3 more people behind them, and you're thinking about, which guitar you're going to use. And it's just really overwhelming for artists. So I think once we show them, wow, like we just finished one 5 minutes ago, with Glenn Campbell's daughter, Ashley Campbell. And she was having a conversation with this young man who lives in San Francisco, who is a blind musician. Like he was born blind. He's a musician, and they just had this really great conversation, and both were totally comfortable because, there was a natural boundary between them, so they could kind of, be completely relaxed.
Now, there's some apps that are out there with celebrities where you can pay a fee and then they like do a voicemail or they send you a message. It's more of like kind of a one-way, like, hey, it's my brother's birthday. Can you say happy birthday? And he loves you. This sounds like it's more of a interaction. It's more kind of relationship driven rather than just, hey, can you, talk for 5 minutes or not even 5 minutes, like a minute, and just leave a message. It seems like there's a back and forth. Is that intentional?
Oh yeah. I mean, we're presenting ourselves as a two-way platform. So, the fan can see the artist can see the fan. They can have a real conversation, or real engagement, real interaction, whether the artist performing, it always has conversation in there, and the artist, that fan can ask artist questions. I'm finding the artists are asking more questions to the fans because I think society has kind of dumbed down the fan. But what these artists are learning is that their fans are people just like them and who have, been working and, going through the life stages and they're very interesting, like they're, some of the people that meet, like the jobs that they have or the stories that they have or it's pretty exciting to watch the artists be like, tell me more about that. So it's been really cool.
And is it, are you finding that it's the case that sometimes the artists kind of lose sight of the impact that they're making and how they're affecting these fans?
I think you hit it right there on the head. I think artists, I just don't know where to tap into a real source of what impact they're making. When you see a crowd, it's hard to see. But when you have these conversations, the artists are telling us they're coming back going, wow, I had no idea. Like I would have never guessed that someone with that kind of that path was moved by my music. And, it's I can see it having a really inspiring kind of impact on the artists.
Well, I could see how it could also like re-energize them if they're feeling like, man, this is, the same, it's the same thing, just a new city. And then they get these stories where, maybe a person was suicidal and then their music really kept them going or, helped them get through a breakup or whatever the case may be, where the fan was in a tough spot and the artist then was there for them and helped them through it in, by their record. I think they hear that can really, keep them going or reinvigorate them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's been really special. And I've had many artists get off, wrap one up and say, man, I could have talked to that person for an hour. Like I really enjoyed that. I hope to meet that person. And we're seeing that, a lot of the artists saying, hey, you know what? I'm so glad we got a chance to get to know each other. And when I come through town, let us know. I want to make sure we can say hello. You know what I mean? So, it's been great because now the artist has an experience with the person and they'll have somewhere to start because they had a conversation, they shared something. So it's really interesting to see the artist doing that on their own.
Now, how does the logistics of this work? Do I go to the website, Topeka.live, I find the artists that I like or see if they're even available, and then I just kind of schedule time?
Yeah, so you can we ask you to give us 3 days and 3 windows of time that work best for you. And then we ask you to tell us a little bit more about what you want to cover or what songs you want to hear, or depending on what you want to do. And then you go ahead and pay, and then we get an email, a notification, and then we coordinate it with the artist, their team, and the artist team will say, yeah, this one works, or these work, or they may say, hey, those don't work, but what about these two? And so we're always able to quickly, within a day or two, get everybody confirmed, and then from there we send you the link. Our moderators guide you through, and we text you the day of just to make sure you're ready. And then we meet you there a little bit early, make sure you're sounding like you want to sound and you got good light and all that. And then we bring the artist on and we drop back in the background. We mute ourselves, our video and audio, and we just kind of let you guys do your thing. And then when it's time to wrap up, we'll pop back on the screen and just kind of say, hey guys, it's time to wrap up. And that keeps the artist from having to be the bad guy. And the artists really like that. It gives them a little comfort just knowing that if something does go wrong with technology, that we've got somebody there that can kind of, get everybody back on track.
Now, is there a recording of this? Is there a memento of the conversation?
Yeah, we send everybody like a 2 to 3 minute recap afterwards.
And then what is the price for this? What's the rate? I'm sure it varies artist to artist, but is there a range?
Yeah, anywhere from $100 to $500 for a conversation. If you want a mini concert, we have artists that will do it anywhere from $500 to $2,500, depending on who it is. And a lot of people are doing these 2-song serenades where it's someone's birthday, and the artist comes on, they play a couple songs, and those run from anywhere from $200 to $700, depending on who it is. We see a lot of those. And then birthdays, anniversaries. Yeah, we see a lot of that.
Right. I'm sure special occasions. Right now you're doing musicians. Do you see this expanding to other groups? Because I would imagine, I know on these other apps, like they have athletes or they have TV personalities. It could work for any kind of anybody with any type of celebrity, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have we do have one bourbon maker on the platform that will do bourbon tastings for like, he's done a couple for law firms, and we have, we're talking to Culinary Institute about partnering with them on some things for chefs to kind of bring kind of people into the home to, through video to kind of help people cook a dinner, share an experience that way. So we are looking outside in other areas.
And then I could see it even, we do business talk. I could see it also expanding to business and get entrepreneurs where you can have some time to, maybe help somebody get through a challenge they're having with somebody who's an expert in, a certain part of business.
Yeah, no, that would be great. We actually have a couple of the managers of the artists who we're starting to put on the website who can just give general music business advice.
Yeah, it seems like the sky's the limit for this.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're excited. We want to get good at this, and then we're also doing a lot of corporate work where companies who are doing the daily or weekly Zoom meetings are having to move their offsites to virtual, and they're coming to us, and we have a team that can put together fun stuff with comedians and musicians to kind of spice up the programming and do trivia for everyone and just kind of make it really fun. So we're doing a lot of that right now as well.
So you're doing kind of like mini events to kind of make from all the Zoom fatigue that people are having?
Correct. Just making them more fun.
So now what do you need more of right now? Do you need more kind of the artists? Are you just trying to get the word out to get it in front of a lot more folks? Like, what do you need? How can we help you?
Well, we need both, right? So we're trying to get the word out that if you have a special occasion coming up, we feel great that we can help put something together that's going to make it really, really special. And then on the other side, any company out there that's, looking to add some energy into their meetings, either the normal weekly meetings or, quarterly or anything special they have coming up. Our team we've been doing, creating experiences for people for 20 years. And so we love getting creative and kind of feeling what the company is about and coming back with some really fun ways for people to do, a Zoom happy hour or something where everyone can kind of feel connected, but also laugh a little bit and, have a couple moments.
Good stuff. Well, you're Atlanta based, right? And you're involved with a group called Circles Morningside. Do you mind talking about that a little bit?
Yeah, I started that last year. It's a nonprofit, and it's a chapter of a national organization called Circles USA, and it really focuses on kind of empowerment of an underserved community, and really to try to help build a path for people to kind of take charge of their lives and lift themselves out of poverty. And It's something I'm really passionate about. I've been working on individually coaching people and living in public housing for a few years and learning a lot, making a lot of mistakes. But I feel I'm really passionate about it. And what we're doing, the connection with Topeka is, we made a promise that proceeds from every hang session, we call them, are going to help underwrite our apprenticeship program. So we have a 12-week apprenticeship program where we walk with somebody and kind of help them get the stability that they need in their life while preparing them for a full-time employment at our company. So we're going to be bringing in two candidates, two apprentices or apprenti, however you say that, this fall. And we've just hired a full-time outreach coordinator to help to work closely with them and just see what we can do. We're trying to, I believe until we all get to know each other and spend time with each other and do great things together, it's, I don't see the gap get any narrower anytime quicker. So we've made a promise that we want to build a company that looks a lot different than any other company. And it's got people that have all different color skin and different beliefs. I always say, like, think differently, look differently, and marry differently. We want it. We want to bring that together.
Good stuff, Andy. It's an amazing journey you're on, and the way that you've leveraged everything that you've done previously to kind of tweak it a little and make it a little better at each iteration of this is really phenomenal. You should be very proud of yourself. This is a great achievement.
Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot. I have the people that I get to work with every day. It's such this much energy in a while, and especially now with everything going on. So thank you. We're committed and we're learning. Don't get me wrong. We're failing a lot, but we're learning and we're moving quickly. So we'll see.
So now if somebody wanted to learn more about Topeka, what's the website again?
Topeka.live. So it's Topeka.live.
Good stuff. Well, Andy, thank you again for sharing your story.
Yeah. Thank you, Lee.
All right, this is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Atlanta Business Radio. And remember, this work would not be possible without the support of our sponsor, OnPay. So please support them so we can continue to share these important stories.
Today's episode of Atlanta Business Radio is brought to you by OnPay. Built in Atlanta, OnPay is the top-rated payroll and HR software anywhere. Get 1 month free at onpay.com.